So, how to be genuinely creative and how to use your imagination. Just giving this video more light, although metaphorically you could say that's the ideas coming from above my head in a big light bulb, but it's an actual light bulb. So I'm going to talk about the idea of ideas. So we all ask each other, what do you do? What's your job? Or what did you learn at school today? What are they teaching you at college? These days, I can go to the gym and I can exercise my body's muscles. I could go to the library or to university and I can exercise my brain and my cognitive skills that are inside my head. I can bring them to life and exercise them, make them stronger and get them to a point where I can apply them as a tool to further and better my own performance in life and the contributions I can make to the world. Other examples would be that I can eat good food to look after my heart, and I can develop life skills for work, such as a CRM database input, or I can learn how to use Keynote or advanced stages of Microsoft's Excel spreadsheet program. I could use Sage or an ERP, and I can always learn new communication skills. I can go networking and I can train myself how to present myself, what to wear, how to use my voice, how to come across and how to listen. Yet there's a huge part of the human skill set that's been neglected for so long that no one even talks about it anymore. No one even mentions it. It's been forgotten for so long that people don't know it even exists. And this is a muscle that you can bring to life and nurture. And this is your creative power. How about making imagination your hobby? In modern life, everything is presented in the shops as readily assembled and pre-programmed. And this encourages us to consume these things and naturally not to think for ourselves. At college, we're led to believe that finding answers is important. But I say otherwise. I say learning to ask the right questions is important. The answers aren't important at all. 100 years ago, a German scientist called Albert Einstein was obsessed with one question. Why can't light be slowed down or speeded up or paused? Why does light always travel at the same speed, even when it bends and curves through pipes and cables in space? Everything else can be slowed down. Sound waves, water, objects that are moving, cars, trains, me and you, my voice. Everything can be paused and the direction can be changed and the speed can be controlled. But why not light? Now, you can imagine, this sounds absurd. Albert Einstein was unknown. He was just working in a shop, a timekeeper's shop, in the administration section of a clockmaker's. It wasn't anyone. It was as anonymous and as unimportant as you and me. It was just a guy. But this natural curiosity that he got in touch with found him coming to this one question all the time. And he couldn't sleep for thinking about it. He loved just letting the question hang in the air and seeing what naturally his mind and his intuition would do in a bid, as humans always do, to find an answer for a question that we've put out there. He was seen as wacky and a bit of a goof, and when he tried to get funding, it was always refused, and he was taught to get a proper job and grow up. But his lifelong insistence in going after that question and taking himself on a journey that might lead to potential answers to that question was to lead to discoveries which enable you today to enjoy things that you take for granted, such as satellite navigation and the internet and all online technologies that you're enjoying, probably to even listen to me speak now. Things that we feel that we couldn't live without. 50 years before that, an Irishman called John Tyndall was asking this question in the same relentless way. Why is the sky blue? Why is that? Why is the sky blue? John tried to get funding from the government and various private wealthy individuals and family and friends to go after the answer to that question. But you can imagine, what would you tell him? It was rejected, to say the least. It was also ridiculed and generally just ignored. But John, like Albert before, who was to come after him, dedicated his life and his money to going after the answer, but not necessarily finding the answer, just going in the direction from where that question leads, wherever that might be. And in doing so, along the way, by accident, he discovered bacteria in the air, and we went on to develop germ theory. When I say we, I say all humans on Earth in the advanced world. And this germ theory is the theory that has us all now washing our hands before we eat, and doctors and surgeons washing their hands before they come into contact with their patients. This was so successful in saving lives that the population of the Earth boosted immediately ever since, and lives have been richer and healthier and have more longevity. All this from a man who wouldn't stop in his pursuit of an answer to the question, why is the sky blue? Now, John, as it happens, did find an answer to that question, but it's totally irrelevant. It was the forming of that question and the things I've mentioned that count. Don't you see? If you ask a whole fresh new question and use your individual creative power, the answer doesn't even matter. Good things happen on the journey that follows, always. Your mind has two sides to it. It has the analytical judgmental part of it, which is good at selecting things and choosing and thinking. And we use this in the modern commercial world for shopping, buying things, saying yes and saying no, and deciding what behaviours and what courses to take our lives in, and what things to get and how to live. Besides that side of your mind, there's the creative bit. And I say this bit is sleeping. It's been left and neglected for too long. Architects using CAD software might not even know it, and they might not agree with me, but like it or not, they're not really designing buildings using their own individual power of imagination. They've been given tools by which to begin their creative process in the CAD software. And we're all prisoners of Google and Windows and Apple menus and options, and the way that Facebook and Twitter and WhatsApp are configured. When I tap my keyboard to write, I no longer form the letter with my hand, so my mind isn't working in conjunction with my body. If I were to grab a pen and paper and write the word fire, then my hand would have to form the F, and then the I, and then the R, and then the E. And there's some way that the mind interacts with the body as it commits an actual experience, which perpetuates our intuition and our understanding of things. Now on my keyboard, to write the word fire, I simply press my finger down onto a piece of plastic 4 times. Different pieces of plastic, F-I-R-E. I'm not forming the word, it's been formed for me. So the tools for which I now am encouraged to accept are blank pages by which to create. I've already been pre-programmed in what I argue are fundamental ways that change the quality of what we do in a negative fashion. And they encourage us and coerce us to lose our essential relationship with the most basic things around us and ourselves. But how about you, having listened to me? Don't just summon up the courage to use your creative power and imagine things all by yourself. But how about you imagine even ditching the tools they've given us to do it? Just empty your mind and each day lend a little time to pure, boundless imagination. No rules. Cross lines, break the rules, ignore the crowd. Dare to ask what nobody else is asking or nobody even thinks of. And don't listen to the naysayers. Find your inner voice and stick with it, no matter what. Imagine what you can do with your creative power. It's a sleeping giant. And if you make imagination your hobby, I'm not talking about what you've heard or what your mate said or what the television said or what you recently read in a report. That's other people thinking for you. Just you on your own with your inner voice. What's it saying? This has been about the idea of ideas. Now there's an idea. Your creative power is your most valuable asset. So please, I beg of you, feed it and take care of it. I can vouch for the fact that if you do, it won't let you down. Thank you.